This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we greet you on this Saturday morning, a little bit earlier than our normal start time. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield as we speak to you from the Virginia Beach Sports PLEX on this glorious Saturday in October. It's a month where champions are crowned in the sport of Major League Baseball. And one team in the National League that I'm representing today, 2 victories away from playing in the Fall Classic.
Let's stop right there. Hello to everybody. Let's stop right there.
What are we stopping for?
Okay, let me. Are you ready?
Why
You ready? Bryce Harper, are we ready?
Ah!
We ready? We ready? Everybody get that?
Why are you wearing that?
Philadelphia Phillies. We got it. World Series bound. World Series champion. As soon as we dismantle the what do they call the
how'd that work out last night?
Black snake, green snake.
You want to call them the rattlesnakes? No, the Diamondbacks. How'd that work out last night? Craig Kimbrell going to pitch for you late in the game? You're a Phillies fan. Look at this.
Kimbrell. I'm a Yankee fan. Yankee fan. Let me get it straight.
Yeah, you're a
Yankee
bandwagon
fan.
hopper to the Phillies.
We finished in last place. Then I said, okay, my Baltimore Orioles, second best team, didn't do it.
You don't need to let people see you.
And then I went to Atlanta. I said, okay, Atlanta, we got a lot of good young hitters.
They're hopping around.
So they're all out. So the next best team left. Let me get the shirt right. Let me get the shirt right. Let me pull this off. Here we go, Philly. All my people, Broad Street, Philly, cheesesteakers. Okay, here we go. Beat those little D. I can't say it on the air. Okay, we'll just call them the D-backs.
No, you keep doing that.
He ain't got much to say now. See, he was. I had to wear one of the lowest points.
We're going to take the humble approach.
One of the lowest points of my life was a couple weeks ago on here, and I got a lot of response about it. I had to wear a D-back jersey.
Lowest point in your life.
One of the lowest points in my life. But I did it. Now, this guy, if Philly wins, will never wear anything Philly.
No, we're decisive underdog. Why should I make that play?
Decisive underdogs, nothing. You're in the playoffs. Anybody can win it.
No, not necessarily.
Look at Houston. They're back in
Anybody can't win it. The Yankees can't win it. They're done.
No, they finished in last place. They can't even get into playoffs. No, I admit that.
Precisely.
But once you're in it, you got to do something. D-backs just – Corbin Carroll's a great player. He'll be the Yankees in 2 years.
Hey, we're planning to talk a lot more baseball here on the show. In fact, Tim Kurkjian, ESPN Major League Baseball analyst and Hall of Famer, is scheduled to join us. So if you are used to our radio days when we had him on, he is scheduled to come on with us by phone around 10:25 a.m. Eastern. Hopefully we can get all the technical things solved to make that happen. So he will join us. We were hoping to get him on the screen, but we'll take him any way we can get him.
Yeah, you get Timmy Kurkjian at this time of the year. We're lucky. We're really lucky and blessed with it. And Timmy was gracious enough when he used to be on ESPN radio. He came in because he's an ESPN guy. When I told him that, we told him goodbye and we're here, I thought he would tell us, no, I can't do it, but he's going to do it. We'll take him any way we can get him.
Well, you're always welcome to join us as an instant guest on the show. You go to my Facebook. We have a link to that. Also, we'll have it up on Twitter at 757 Sports Talk for those that want to interact there, or X as they call it now on the show. And someone told me a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm about to shock Ed on this rumor. I was told that Ed Young is now on Instagram. Is this true that Ed Young is on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram now.
Are we allowed to give out the Ed Young Instagram handle?
And soon I will be on X. Soon I'll be on X.
Ed Young is on Instagram. Is it Ball Stars 2023? Is that him? Is that Ed Young?
I never heard of that.
That's not you?
I don't know.
That's not you.
It's my name, but I don't remember no Ball Stars 2020. You sure you didn't set that up?
I didn't set that up. That's not you. That's not your Instagram handle. I want to make sure it's okay. That's him. So there we go. We're gonna follow him, and we're gonna have a request to follow. So if it's actually him, we'll see. We'll get a date. Otherwise, it could be someone impersonating Eddie Young.
I want to try to get. How they always say, I want to get like 100 followers.
Well, we just put it out on the show. Hopefully, people will follow you on Instagram.
All right, follow me on Instagram.
We can share all kinds of various photos and videos as long as they're clean and above board. That on the show, if you have something, maybe anybody that has some old Ed Young footage or
I got some old Ed Young footage
photos that we'd like to share on the show.
I got a picture of me in high school.
Oh,
in high school,
wow.
hooping it up, baby. Hooping it up. Yes. If you saw that, wow, kids would be scared.
Well, again, we are here to talk about high school football. Let's fire up the music. Give me my theme music, ladies and germs, as they like to say. Let's fire it up here with some football.
One point time. On.
I'm going to get in the fun. We did that last week on the show. And he's got a game. I don't even know. He's off this week. And he can't lose. Can't blow a 29-point lead. How about that? Let's get to Thursday night's action across the 7-5-7 and beyond on the gridiron. As you see some of the scores rolling across the screen there. Didn't have the commas, so have fun reading all those. We'll fix that for later in the show. That's going to complete the stuff in
I'm getting a headache now. So it's like
that.
3 teams played each other at the same time.
We'll work on that for you. We'll work on that. York did beat Bruton 22-14. Both of us had the Panthers in that game.
Yeah.
But that did not turn out to be a big surprise there.
I did have Abington beat Richmond.
You did have Abington beat Richmond. That was a Friday night game out in Southwest Virginia. You're one of the few because a lot of people had Richmond winning that game. Also on Thursday night, Kurkjian a winner over Woodside 18-10. It looks like Kurkjian can be the 8 seed in Region 5B if you care about that, Ed.
I do.
Of note with Kurkjian likely to get the 8 seed, you know that means you're going to open up in the first round with most likely, right?
You've got to get in.
You don't want to
get in. It's going to be a short-lived playoff run, but the thing is, you get in. That's important for coaching a young team and any team in terms of playing in there. So I don't begrudge them.
Well, they take on the more Commodores if you get opponents. That's a hard draw if you do get that. So
try to play 13 players and put 2 back by the end zone because they are scoring at almost record clip time.
Isn't that illegal to do 13? Don't you get a penalty for that?
Yeah, it's only illegal if you get caught.
Did you just say that? Is that what you tell the officers on the road when you're not abiding by the rules and the laws that are stated?
I don't want to get stopped. Remember, I'm a driver's ed instructor, so I cannot afford to get stopped.
Well,
don't need to be in a hurry, people. Take your time.
Absolutely. So no surprises there. I mean, York is a mild surprise to you beating Bruton, but you knew Doug Ferrer was capable of it, correct?
Yeah, I trying to catch up with you. I was going to pick them. I needed to pick some games
because you were 10 down.
I just didn't think they had the muster this year.
Well, they have catch up.
I messed that one up. And congrats to Bruce Schmuck. Now, who do they play this next week?
9 straight wins for the Falcons in that head-to-head series with the Bruton Panthers. York's next game is Lafayette at Warner Stadium.
I will not be picking York this.
And they've got Grafton after that, so squeezing in the door in Region 3A is going to be difficult. We do now have the screen with the scores from Thursday. There you go. That's much easier to read. How about Cosby knocking off Huguenot in overtime before we get to Friday's action? You say, why does that matter, Matt? Well, in Region 6A,
why does that matter, Matt?
Thank you. Region 6A, Cosby is trying to squeeze in and get one of those final playoff seeds. So with that in mind, it allows them to maybe get in there because they were not in the top 8 lines going into this past week. So if you're a Grassfoot, if you're a Western Branch, both of whom fell on Friday night, your situation could be in peril, especially as you look at the loser of that game when they play each other, Grassfoot and Western Branch coming up. So Cosby knocking off Huguenot, who was right there on the outside of our Class 4 top 10 on VirginiaPreps.com. That was a big surprise.
I'm going to reserve comment until I get to see the rankings. I want to see the rankings pretty soon here in the show. I'm going to tell you where you got people wrong, who got to move wherever.
Okay.
Sometimes you in your rankings, you do them too late at night.
Wow. Well, we didn't get your top 10s that you were supposed to submit last week. How'd that work out for you? So maybe we won't even let you see your rankings.
Well, I was going to get it in, but I need a little bit more info from our info guys, and they didn't do their job.
Well, I can't help you there. We're going to Friday night action from high school football now. Where do you want to begin before we take a timeout and then do another segment, and then we bring on hopefully Tim Kurkjian on the show? You've got the small schools, otherwise known as Western Taiwan, the privates, the Southeastern, the Peninsula, the Eastern, the Beach, Bay Rivers. Where do you want to go?
Let's start where the biggest game of the night was.
Well, that's all in how you view it.
No. If people didn't think this was the biggest game of the night, and with all due respect to everybody's games, was in the Southeastern District last night.
All right, Kings.
And this dude was there.
I was there. And I was wearing my Lucky D-back shirt, so I wore it 2 days in a row until we lose.
I thought I smelled something in this.
So, yes, right. Well, I thought on the skin I had to show that. Don't worry, it's like it's almost like a little jacket. We're good.
Yeah, my agent will get another call. These conditions I cannot keep working under.
All right. The Kingsport Bulldogs in the rain. They got it going behind Javon Ford, who ran the football 44 times for 235 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's the second time in 19 meetings all time. Kingsport knocks off Oscar Smith, and they do so by a count of 21-19 to remain undefeated on the season. And now Kingsport coach just a couple victories away. They need to beat Deep Creek on the road and Hickory at home to complete the first ever undefeated regular season in school history. Oscar Smith dropping to 5-3. They did have a late touchdown pass through the air, that young combination of freshman Lonnie Andrews III to sophomore wideout Travis Johnson, the recent Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week winner when he caught that game winner against Indian River as time expired. 81-yard hookup there, but Kingsport was able to get done with their defense to seal the deal. It was Kayvon Blanding with the INT at the end of the game. Kingsport a winner over Oscar Smith. We'll get some thoughts from Anthony Joffrey on in just a second, but it looks like they're going to get the Southeastern District quote-unquote title, if you still give out district titles, which I don't think you do. Yeah. They'll have the best record in the league, you would suspect here. The other results from the SED on Friday night consisted of Mansman River, your school.
Here we go, baby. Warrior.
Warrior.
We're putting Mansman River. Put it up there, baby. Put it up there.
For now until
Mansman River.
Until he
Mansman River.
Grizzlies fall of Grassfield to the Warriors of Mansman River 40-12. Indian River all over Western Branch 53-6. Very impressive performance for them. Hickory shuts out Lakeland 35-0. And Deep Creek keeps its playoff hopes alive in Region 5A with a 21-7 victory over Great Bridge, the alma mater of Hornets coach Andre Twine. But as you look at the district's results from Friday night in the Southeastern, coach, very impressive showing for Indian River on offense, and Kingsport got it done with that running game behind Javon Ford, who I think is certainly cementing himself as one of the top running backs in the state in the class of 2025, as we highlighted on Hats Hits with our takeaways on Friday night at the ball games.
I think you're looking at a kid like Ford who's positioned himself to be a decent recruit, a high-level recruit. A kid that's seems very humble. I don't know the kid. I've never met him. But in terms of his interviews, he seems very humble in terms of pushing a lot of the praise onto his teammates, his offensive line, quarterback, which is great. Sometimes you don't hear that with high school kids, all about me. But that Kingsport team, who I think, I know some two teams aren't going to like what I'm going to say, I think will finish the season undefeated and then get into playoffs, and then everything changes when you get into playoffs. It's nice what you did in regular season, and if it's done well for you, in this case it will, then that's what you want to continue doing. You want to change nothing. And Ford is a workhorse that you can give him the ball, throw him the ball in the flat. He can get some yardage after catch. So they're really operating very well. One of the better teams in the area. We got a lot of them.
Without question, they're in that Region 5B picture with Maury and Warwick. Would you like to hear now from the head coach of the Bulldogs after that big win, Anthony Joffrey? We took him into the media room they have at Kingsport. I think in a media room. How cool is that? I'm waiting for the refreshments to come out next go round. Here's what Coach Joffrey said after the big win over the Tigers of Oscar Smith, just a second time in school history. We listen to it and watch it now with 757 Saturday Sports Talk, Hatfield and Young from the Plex. All right, I'm here with Kingsport head football coach Anthony Joffrey, and his Bulldogs win a Florida tonight over the Oscar Smith Tigers, 21-19. The final, coach. Yes, it was a head-spinning finish for you. And what can you say about how your kids persevered through this, whether it be the offensive line, the defensive line, Kayvon Blanding with the game-sealing pick, and then your workhorse running the football tonight, Javon Ford, 44 rushes, 235 yards. Got to think those are career highs with 3 touchdown runs, and he was just a beast in this ball game tonight against a big-time team.
Yeah, Javon Ford did a great job, man. He got the yards when we really needed it. In the fourth quarter, we were trying to run the clock, and he just did a great job of maintaining his runs and just getting it done. Then he was actually out for 2 plays, and then Bubba Anderson goes in there and rips off 2 long runs. So I think, the weather, we had adversity, just a lot of different things were going on. We had the lights cut out before the game. So it was just a lot of stuff that we were battling, and our kids just found a way to overcome it. And, I'm just really proud of them. I'm proud of the community. They came out and supported tonight in the rain, so it's a big win, but, our goal isn't, to beat Oscar Smith, but it was, it's a really good win.
2 moments stuck out to me for Ford tonight. Besides his 35-yard scamper, his 17-yard burst, his 3 touchdowns, there was a play on 3rd and 1 where he looked like he got bottled up somehow up the middle against that Tigers defense. He wiggled out to the outside, and then there was also you mentioned he comes off for a couple plays. I mean, you think with 40-plus carries, he'd be done, and he's like, no, I refuse to go out. He wanted this one better than I did.
Yeah, exactly, man. When we beat Oscar Smith, I want to say he was like in 6th grade. He was probably a kid in the stands. So it really meant a lot to him, for us to take the next step as a football program. I feel like we don't really get a lot of respect, even though we've only lost like 5 games in 3 seasons. Ever since I've been the head coach here, we've always won 10 games. We've done a really good job. But the one hurdle we haven't gotten over is Oscar Smith. So I think it's just big for our program, big for our school to finally get over that Oscar Smith hurdle. And hopefully, we're going to finish these next 2 games and we'll be the first team in school history to be 10-0 and win the district outright, which hasn't been done, since I want to believe Indian River.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Someone not named Oscar Smith to do that.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
This meant something to the kids to beat them, and it felt like the beginning of this game was starting off the way last year's game did, where you're driving, self-inflicted wounds, penalties, they get a takeaway. Is that just a maturity of these kids kind of stepping up to the plate and wanting it so bad after last year, knowing you could have beaten them and you outgained them, but tonight you kind of showed some of that growth? Yeah,
I think last year the kids made the moment too big, and I think I did as a coach. Just turned 30, so I'm young. I'm still learning. So for this game, our biggest focus was just don't beat ourselves and let's just play football. Let's play our brand of football. And I want to say that first series on defense, even on offense, just getting a lot of penalties on defense. They score 3 plays. So our kids just had to settle down. Coaches had to settle down. And I think we just did a great job of that. Just, not making the moment too big.
What's going through your mind when they strike for that big play, the long touchdown pass, 81 yards from Lonnie Andrews, the third, a freshman, to their sophomore, Travis Johnson, who you bottled up all night long except that play, which he can burn you, right?
Yeah, so, Lonnie Andrews, that kid is special, man. He's scrambling out the pocket, throwing it 50 yards to Travis Johnson, who's just running behind people. Those two are very special talents. But when he scored that touchdown, all I was thinking was Javon Ford run this football. That's all I was thinking. Don't turn the ball over.
Kind of like watching Jags Saints last night, right?
Exactly. I'm like, just give Javon Ford the football and let's milk this clock. Yeah. And I think, kudos to the offensive line. They did a great job. Coach Gale coaches them, and they've kind of taken on the identity of just being a rough-nosed group.
Mm-hmm. And I know Javon's always going to give credit to his guys in front of the block for him. Last 2 for you. Okay, you see the big plays from Ford, Johnson, quarterback. Your quarterback's underrated, I think. Just a 10th grader. Tonight his efficiency, DeAndre Artis-Boone, 14 of 18, 95 yards. The yards aren't maybe there. It's so spectacular, but he didn't make a lot of mistakes, and he got it to some key receivers on some third down plays, whether it be Denosh Rogers, Jamel Mackey, and other guys that stepped up. I believe Darrell Wilson as well.
Yeah, so he's he's a Suffolk kid. He's been in the program since 8th grade. He was when I first got here, he was actually our starting JV quarterback in 8th grade, and he's just been a part of the program. I used to take the kid home every day for about a year. Just to kind of build that relationship with him. So I have a huge trust in him as a sophomore. And he's just very mature for his age. He doesn't act like typical sophomores. He goes to class on time. He gets really good at grade. His teachers love him. He's really a guy that you want to be your quarterback. He's very smart at the end of the game. We're telling him, hey, chew the clock. He's just laughing at me. Like, I'm going to look at the back judge, watch him take it down. So he's just very mature, and he's just beyond his years.
Lastly, you mentioned that you're a young coach, and how much have you and your coaches and players aged, though, with these heart-stopping finishes? Double overtime, Indian River, double overtime, Nance River. Tonight it's a close ball game. It has to help in a lot of ways and propel you as you go into this playoff gauntlet where you've gotten 5B. You're undefeated. Warwick's undefeated. Maury's undefeated. A lot of really good teams.
Yes. Yeah, I think it prepares us because we know if the game is close, we can still be in it. Teams I've coached in the past, like we would go through the whole season and never be behind, or never have to make a drive to win it. And I want to say we've never won a game before this season when we were behind and had to find a way to win. Besides last year in the playoffs when DeAndre had to start as a freshman. So we've just found ways to win. I just think, the off season, we got really good coaches. Larray Kendrick, is an offensive coordinator. He played quarterback here. Casey Turner, he's one of the best passers in the state history. Marty Asper, he was a head coach at Grassfield. Jamonte Jackson. We just have really great coaches, and they're selfless. I know I'm a younger guy, but we all just want to see the kids be successful, and I think that's what makes our coaching staff special and our kids. We all buy into it.
Well, the rain or the Tigers could stop the bite of the Bulldogs. Thank you so much. All the best.
Oh, that was a good one. Congrats.
All right, that was Anthony Joffrey on the Kingsport coach with us after his team's 21-19 victory over the Oscar Smith Tigers on Friday night in Suffolk. It is Hatfield and Young 757 Saturday Sports Talk at the PLEX. Your reaction to what Coach Joffrey shared there after the game, and He said sometimes they don't feel like they get the respect they deserve. Why is that? Because I feel like they've got a really good program. They haven't broken through and won a state championship. They made the state semis a couple years ago, fell to the eventual champs in Verona. So they've been very close. They've been knocking on that door. They've been in region championship games, I think 3 of the last 5 or 6 years at the Class 4 level. Now you're in the big boy division, I guess you could say Class 5 Region B, where you have Maury, who is literally, we'll get to them in a little bit on the show, averaging almost as many points per game as Freedom did a season ago. They're at 59.5 per contest, as they're on track, if they were to average 68 again the rest of the way, to match Freedom for the state scoring record. And by the way, in district here, Maury's averaging almost 75 a contest. And you have Warwick, who in 9 games this year has not given up a touchdown. So Kings Fork is unbeaten. You put them in Class 6, you put them in Class 4 again, you put them in Class 3, you put them even in Region 5A, not 5B, and they could be viewed as the favorite. Are they really even like a sleeper in 5B because of just how strong Maury and Warwick is, and because of Oscar Smith's dominance in the Southeastern District, where until a few years ago, back in, was that 2017, they stopped that 99-game Southeastern District winning streak that Oscar Smith had going. So why is that in your opinion, Coach?
Well, you really stole my thunder.
Okay.
Exactly what it is. They're wedged between the Oscar Smith tradition and history in the district and throughout the state. Now Maury is taking a lot of that, and Maury is putting points like crazy on the board, but the potential state record. Warwick coming out of, I won't say nowhere completely, but it's a team that hasn't given up a defensive point all year. The special teams touchdown at the first game of the year.
Yeah,
so they're just shutting everybody out all the way through. So there's some other things. Green Run's having a heck of a year too, undefeated. So Kings Fork's kind of caught behind that. But Coach, let me tell you something, man. Let it roll. Keep doing what you're doing. The quickest way to get respect, keep winning. Establish your program the right way, which apparently he is doing. We've got some really, really tough kids over there, some really good young kids coming. And I've always told coaches this, it's better to have a good program than one great year. So, and that one great year could be a state title. I'd rather have a very, very good program consistent where I have a chance to win multiple state titles if things go right with your players and all that. So he's doing a super job. You know, when I watch, we keep talking about being a young guy still learning. You know, to shave that beard, a guy could probably play wide receiver or something for that team and get away with it because he looks that young. But like I said, the quickest way to get your respect and just dues is just keep playing well. Do the things I believe the right way. Always put the kids first and stay on the kids, you know, on the fields and on the courts and off the court and fields too. I think that's, as a coach, that you must do that. So they're doing it right. Just keep winning. It's just unfortunate they were in. I keep saying it's the toughest region in the state, period.
Well, when you have 3 unbeaten teams, it's hard to argue that point. As we go to break here, one other thing, how important is it to have the staff he does, where he has former head coaches like Pete Gale, who coached at Great Bridge, made the playoffs there, Martin Asprey, who coached at Grassville, made the playoffs there, former record-setting quarterback in Casey Turner. They've developed some young kids on that team, like a sophomore and DeAndre Artis Boone at quarterback, their linemen on the offensive and defensive side. I think that's helped him quite a bit because in our preseason show, I think it was some guy that picked them to win the Southeastern District when somebody else had Oscar Smith, and you could easily make the case for Mansman River and Indian River, who took the Bulldogs double overtime. Western Branch won a regional title a year ago. They haven't had the type of season they hoped for or expected to have after really good success last year. Had to replace Paul Phillips, who's at UNC. Shamik Blizzard lost some really valuable pieces, but that's helped their acceleration, has it not?
You know, my hat's off to Coach for adding veterans. Veteran head coaches who have won big games in the past. A lot of young coaches won't do it. Egos get in the way. They're afraid that maybe they won't do something well and get the side eye from the veteran coach. I welcome that kind of stuff. I want assistant coaches that are vocal, who are going to challenge me. I'm not intimidated by their winning and what they've done, because that's what I want. I understand I'm the head coach. I have the final say, and I think he sees that too. So I think that's a tremendous accomplishment on his part as a head coach, a young head coach, to bring in veteran assistants. And then you let them coach. Football is a sport where I don't think the head coach can do everything like a lot of other sports. You got your coordinators, you got your special team coordinator, offense, defense coordinator, your position coach. Let them take care of business under the domain of what you see how the program is going to go. And again, that goes back to what I keep saying. You have to have You got to build a good program. ADs and principals have to allow those coaches to do that. Not some people do the shortcut way. You bring in this kid, bring in that kid. Let's call it what it is. It's out of the closet. Recruiting is rampant. But if you build your program with your young kids, go down into the middle school situation, go down into the elementary schools, see hopefully what's coming, because it can always change in a moment. That's how you build a program. And I think King Fork has done that. And I tell these young guys, don't worry about, we don't think we're getting the proper respect. Don't worry about that. Just take care of business with the kids. Do the right things with them.
We're going to take a time out and come back with more here. We've got some high school football scores to go through from Friday night across the Eastern, the Beach, the Peninsula, the Bay Rivers, the private schools, and others. We're going to do our NBA over-unders today since the NBA season starts next week for the 23-24 campaign.
And the number one thing, we have an unveiling coming up. He doesn't even know about it. There's an unveiling coming up. We're going to add.
Do Chuck and Nick know about this?
Chuck and Nick don't know this. We're going to add a third member to the duo. He doesn't even know this.
A trio.
Nick doesn't know. Chuck doesn't know.
It makes it a trio.
Yeah, we're going to have a trio in here, baby. It's going to coming up. I've got surprises. I got scoops. This guy thinks he has all the scoops. Nah, not only do I have them, but Nikki has 2 scoops too.
All right, we're going to come back. Nikki, who's that? We're going to take a time out and come back with more. Let's hear from a couple of our sponsors, including the Drip Bar.
Ooh, Drip Bar.
Stay tuned.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
Man, I wish I was out there.
Let's unretire.
Why not? Randy Moss.
Dan Marino? You all right?
Hey, Grandpa!
Grandpa?
I still got it.
22. 22.
Number 13.
Let's see. Hey. I need that senior discount. That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
Okay, who here has reached peak fall?
Peak what?
Peak fall!
I am wearing plaid.
And I'm wearing a cardigan.
I guess I am eating snickerdoodle cookie dough.
And I am eating a pumpkin pie blizzard.
The new DQ Fall Blizzard menu has reached peak fall. Pumpkin pie, snickerdoodle cookie dough, and more. They are back!
I just love fall. Apparently we all do.
Oh, they did it! Peak fall achieved! DQ, happy tastes good.
Every year, thousands of athletes disappear in clutch moments due to falling hydration levels.
I used to go missing all the time. I let everyone down. I even let Shannon Sharp down.
Yeah, you let me down.
They've been told how you feel yourself doesn't matter. That electrolytes are all the same. Then just like that, they're gone. Get yourself back in the game. Get yourself a Gatorade. Could be the difference between dominating and disappearing. Gatorade, rehydrate, replenish, refuel.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
winning season in the past 16 years. A pick six from Isaiah Rambert, 37-yard variety, propels Lansdowne, Robert Jackson's Eagles, over the Kellum Knights 14-7. Remember, they had the heartbreaking loss to Cox last week late in the game. They respond here and of talking to Ed Young, you've lost 6 straight after the 2-0 start.
But we both interviewed him. So
Well,
how do
we're
I
blaming
get
you,
credit
though.
for the loss?
It's still
That's
your fault. If he'd come on the finals, not the semifinals. So your reaction to that, A, and then Brendan Williams' comment, B.
The VHSL simply says, we tell the regions, get us, like in basketball, get us 2 teams from out of your region. They don't declare how you're supposed to do it. Therefore, you got everybody doing something different. And again, reseed. Get a group of veteran coaches, retired coaches, media guys like this guy who puts a lot of work in and knows the thing. You're never going to have it perfect. That's an understanding. But I would prefer a group of coaches to come out of that room and say, this is what we have. I can live with that.
We got to take a break here because Tim Kurkjian's coming up here in just a second to talk some baseball with us. But I do want to get out there. I mentioned about the Salem score. Last time they gave up 50-plus in a game. Or I should say that many points, 54 or more, 74 by Lansdowne in 2003. So it was the most prolific performance by an offense. Green runs last night against the Sun Devils, known for their defense going back to the days of Robert Jackson and many others, and all his standouts, I should say, when he was the head coach in literally 20 years. So there you have it. And by the way, you stole my thunder because I've been on the reseeding bandwagon for years and years and years. So I stole your thunder earlier. You stole my thunder. There you have it.
Well, everybody says that should be reseeded. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but it really needs to be done.
Coming up, we're going to hear from Tim Kurkjian, the Hall of Famer, Major League Baseball analyst from ESPN. Right now, we're going to take a time out and hear from some of our sponsors like Dairy Queen, Freddy's, and Gatorade. It's Hatfield and Young, 757 Saturday Sports Talk at the Plex. Don't touch that dial.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not?
Randy Moss.
Dan Marino? You all right?
Hey, Grandpa.
Grandpa?
I still got it.
22.
coming through.
Delay game, number 13.
Let's see. Hey. I need that senior discount. That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
Okay, who here has reached peak fall?
Peak what?
Peak fall.
I am wearing plaid.
And I'm wearing a cardigan.
I guess I am eating snickerdoodle cookie dough.
And I am eating a pumpkin pie blizzard.
The new DQ Fall Blizzard menu has reached peak fall. Pumpkin pie, snickerdoodle cookie dough, and more. They are back.
I just love fall.
Apparently we all do.
Oh, they did it. Peak fall achieved. DQ, happy tastes good.
Every year, thousands of athletes disappear in clutch moments due to falling hydration levels.
I used to go missing all the time. I let everyone down. I even let Shannon Sharp down.
Yeah, you let me down.
They've been told how you feel yourself doesn't matter, that electrolytes are all the same. Then just like that, they're gone. Get yourself back in the game. Get yourself a Gatorade. Could be the difference between dominating and disappearing. Gatorade, rehydrate, replenish, refuel.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we welcome you back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Hatfield and Young at the PLEX. Alongside the coach Ed Young, this is Matt Hatfield, and we are pleased to be joined by a special guest on the line. He is the Hall of Famer, and you watch him, you hear him on ESPN radio, you see him on TV, whether it be with Baseball Tonight, calling games with Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, and all the crew. The one and only Tim Kurkjian with us here on the program as we talk about the Major League Baseball playoffs, the NLCS with Arizona and Philadelphia deadlocked at 2 apiece. What a game last night as they prevailed coming from behind. And also a thriller in the American League Championship Series with two future Hall of Fame managers, Dusty Baker and the Houston Astros, the defending champs, coming from a 2-0 deficit in that series to win 3 straight on the road against Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers. Game 6 coming up tomorrow in that series, Game 5 tonight in Arizona between the D-backs and the Phils. Tim, thank you for coming on the program. And people that have a question about baseball, the playoff structure and things of that nature, they can't be too disappointed or too upset right now because we have 2 great series right now to see who goes to the World Series with Arizona, Philly, Houston, and Texas. I know you're calling the Houston-Texas series. At least I believe I heard you yesterday on my way to a football game. And what can you say about that game last night? Because most baseball pundits and experts and fans out there say it's one of the all-time classics. How about you?
Yeah, I'm 66 years old, and I have covered every playoff series or every playoff since 1981, and that is one of the greatest baseball games I have ever seen. It was supercharged in the ballpark. We had 2 really good pitchers starting. We had an incredible finish to that game. And Jose Altuve, who is 5'6", and I'm being generous, hit his 26th postseason home run. Only Manny Ramirez has hit more than he has. That was the 3rd time in his career that he hit a go-ahead home run in a postseason game in the 9th inning or later. No one else has ever done that. And that capped an amazing comeback by the Astros. And then somehow they held on in the bottom of the 9th inning to win that game. I repeat, if you are a baseball fan and you watch that game, you are convinced again this is the best game ever, especially when it's played in October.
I'll let Ed jump in here in a second, Tim. The thing that I marvel most at about with Houston is this is a team that literally was sputtering down the stretch. We look at their home series against, I think, Houston and against Oakland and Kansas City. They almost lost the division. They win the division on the last week of the season, last series against Arizona, who ironically enough, they could end up running into them in the World Series potentially. But here they are. They've had some different lineups as far as some guys in and out, but my goodness, you mentioned Altuve, Alex Bregman, another veteran, and Yordan Alvarez. Is anybody crushing postseason pitching better than this guy the last couple of years? He has been unreal.
Yeah, this is a dominant offensive team now, especially if Kyle Tucker, who got 2 hits last night, including a big double down the left field line in the 8th inning. If he gets going and Jeremy Pena starts to hit a little more, this is a devastating offensive team. Alvarez is Willie McCovey come back to life, and he's better in the postseason than he is in the regular season, and that is really saying something. I don't know how you pitch to this Houston team anymore because of the damage they did at Globe Life Park. It's going to be real interesting to see, though. They haven't played very well at home this year. They're 39-42 in the regular season at home, but now they're going to go for a Game 6 with Framber Valdez on the mound with a chance to go back to the World Series. The last team that won the World Series and then went back to the World Series the next year was 2009 Philly. So we're looking at potential history here.
And Texas is also hoping, Ed, to have what Washington did in 2019 when the Nats ended up winning all 4 of their games on the road. When Houston won 3 in Washington, they're trying to win those 2 games in Game 6 and 7 in Houston.
Yeah, and I think, Tim, when we flip it to the other side, Texas, which, has some really great talent, kind of meandering along the way the last couple of years, but they bring in Bruce Bochy, who has done a great job. Everybody thought he was done, washed up. He's just done a tremendous job. And I was telling Matt on the way in today, Bruce does a lot of, he's old school guy. He doesn't go by like a lot of these guys go by the analytics that say, take this pitcher out now, even though he's pitching tremendous, take him out because he's going to wear out pretty soon. And guys do it. Bochy doesn't do it. He trusts his guys. The old by the seat of their pants. Talk a little bit about the return of Bochy and what it's meant to Texas and baseball in general.
Yeah, Bruce Bochy left on his own a few years ago because he didn't enjoy the way that managing was done. So when Chris Young, the GM of the Rangers, called him to say, I want you to come back and I want you to manage the game. We're not going to manage it for you like so many other front offices manage for their teams, for their managers. And they've gone from 68 wins to 90 wins. And not once did this team panic this year. And there were many opportunities. Jacob deGrom goes down, Max Scherzer goes down, all sorts of guys in their lineup go down. They lost 8 in a row. They lost 20 out of 30. And Bochy never panicked. And that's what kept this team afloat and got them into the playoffs. But now this is their biggest challenge because that was a tremendous game, but also a brutal loss for the Rangers. And they handled things so poorly with Adolis Garcia getting hit by that pitch and then really losing his cool. You cannot do that in a postseason game like that. That shook up and really angered the Astros, and it really put them in a position because Jose Leclerc, the relief pitcher, had to wait, and he wasn't sharp last night and gave up the homer to Altuve.
Tim, I was going to get into that next, looking at the bullpen. And really, the bullpen could be a story of this series. Philadelphia's bullpen, Arizona has to go deep into theirs. But again, look, you just hit on it when Kirk had to sit out and wait a little bit for all that stuff going on. Let's get a little bit into the bullpens of the different teams and where you think they stand.
Yeah, the Astros have a demonstrably better bullpen than that of the Rangers. That is the only major difference in this series is Houston's bullpen. I'll never forget that they won the World Series last year in part because their bullpen was tremendous the entire postseason. Ryan Presley, who's one of the greatest postseason relievers ever and a great closer, period, came in last night after Brian Brayu got thrown out and got 6 outs. He was brilliant. And, that's 18 straight consecutive postseason appearances where he hasn't allowed an earned run. And that's the big difference because the Rangers can only count on 3 guys at the end of the game. Josh Scoors and Aroldis Chapman and Jose Leclerc, and those guys have done a pretty good job in the postseason, but they asked Leclerc to get 4 outs again for a save. He didn't have a 4-out save during the regular season. He's had 1 in this postseason. They asked him to get a second one. He couldn't pull it off, and that's why the Astros have a 3-2 lead instead of the Rangers having a 3-2 lead.
And look at their series here in the National League, being a diehard, lifelong Diamondbacks fan here, Tim. I was on the edge of my seat the last couple of games with them, and they made a little bit of a comeback in Game 1 against Philadelphia before the Phillies just absolutely went bonkers, swinging the bats in Game 2, which this lineup has done all playoff long with Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner and Nick Castellanos and that crew. A lot of talk this morning about Craig Kimbrell. Should manager Rob Thompson use him in the 9th? He goes to him in the 8th. Should they go to Alvarado now at the end of the game? What's your feeling as we look at that series? And Arizona had some shaky moments with its bullpen until around the playoffs here where things have been straightened out a little bit thanks to the addition of Paul Sewald from Seattle late in the year.
Yeah, that's been a great series also. And in this unbelievably unpredictable regular season, which has just gone right into the postseason where very little has gone as scripted, no one should ever count out the Arizona Diamondbacks, especially with the way they swept the Dodgers and never were behind in that series. To answer your question, it was a little bit curious that Craig Kimbrell pitched in the 8th inning last night. He is your classic old-style closer who comes in with nobody on in the 9th inning to get the save, and that's not what they did with him last night. So that's 2 straight appearances in which he pitched poorly, and now I think they're going to have to re-examine their bullpen situation. I still think they're going to win this series, but again, anyone who now questions the young, hungry, athletic Arizona Diamondbacks is making a mistake. That team is good, and it's only going to get better.
You heard that, Ed? He said, don't question the D-backs. He always makes fun of me, Tim, calling him a AAA outfit, being a Yankees fan, all these different things. But in all seriousness, you predicted back on our radio show last April that Corbin Carroll would be the breakout star. You were spot on the money, which you almost always are. And with him and Ketel Marte at the top of that lineup as the table setters, they don't get the attention that Philadelphia does. Obviously, the Phillies made the World Series a season ago, but those 2 guys have been stellar all playoff long. And I feel like they're being underrated again because people are saying, all right, it's 2-2. The Phillies still have a Game 6 and Game 7 in Philadelphia, but the Phils want to mess around and lose tonight, knowing that 2 chances in their ballpark, maybe the pressure intensifies facing elimination?
Yeah, I think so. First off, Corbin Carroll is going to win the Rookie of the Year unanimously nationally. And he might finish 6th in the MVP voting, but only because, or 5th, only because the front 4 there are so good. I think Carroll will come in 5th in the MVP voting as a rookie. That's how good he has been. And yet Ketel Marte has been their best hitter in this postseason, which is not a surprise because he's a really good player. And yes, if the Diamondbacks were somehow able to win tonight, and the Diamondbacks were to go to Philadelphia, that crowd, which is the best outdoor crowd I think I've ever seen in the major leagues, and I've covered for a long time, that place is going to be rocking win or lose. But if you go home facing elimination in Game 6 and Game 7, that will be a fascinating situation. But I put nothing past the Phillies. That is a tough veteran team with some really good young players also. That team will not be intimidated, spooked in any way because of what's happened the last 2 games.
A few more minutes here with the Baseball Hall of Famer and ESPN Major League Baseball analyst Tim Kurkjian. You hear him on ESPN Radio as part of the call with the Rangers and the Astros. Also watch him on television as part of their outstanding coverage tonight. You got a game number 5 in the Arizona Diamondbacks Philadelphia Phillies series in the National League Championship Series. It's going to be on TBS 8:07 start with the starting pitching matchup at Dandy. Zach Wheeler going up against Zach Gallen. And then in game number 6 coming up on Sunday in the American League Championship Series as it shifts back to Texas, the Rangers trying to overcome the 3-2 deficit against the reigning World Series champion Astros with Framber Valdez against Nathan Eovaldi, Ed.
Yeah, Tim, the thing I'm noticing too is the ball juiced a little bit? That's a ton of home runs going on in the playoffs. Or is that just symptomatic of the players that we have nowadays?
Yeah, this is the players we have these days. We've said this a million times. When really good pitchers locate with this ridiculous stuff that they have, it's almost impossible to get a hit. However, if you miss location, whether you're throwing 100 or a slider at 95, if you miss location, you don't just give up a line drive single to left field. That ball goes 20 rows into the seats. Our hitters are bigger, stronger, and more prepared than ever. And even though they strike out at a historic rate, virtually every guy in every order now is capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. That's why every pitcher has to be careful with every hitter. It didn't work that way 45 years ago when I first started covering. You had some easy outs at the end of a National League lineup normally, but not anymore. So the ball is flying because the hitters are so big, so good, and so strong.
Well, Tim, it's like I know we talked to you in the spring online here where I said I hated one of the only new rule I hated, and you set me straight on why they did it, was they banned the shift, which I thought was a strategy move. And, I kept saying, well, make the players learn to hit the opposite field, make the players bunt the ball. And you said that's not how baseball is taught now, and that's not what the people want to see. And you were right, because the regular season, everybody loved it. Games were faster, smoother, crisper, and I had to endure no shift.
Yeah, the shift rule was a good idea because we're trying to get more players to hit the ball to the opposite field, hit the ball on the ground. When you watch Mauricio Dubon, say, of the Astros, he's changed his entire career approach at the plate. Instead of getting the ball up in the air, he says, I can't do that anymore. Dusty Baker told him, hit it on the ground, hit it to the opposite field, and he has been a very effective player in the postseason. So let's hope this is a sign of returning to more balls in play, more hits, fewer walks, fewer strikeouts, fewer home runs, and more action in the game. We saw more this year. We still have a long way to go, but I'm encouraged that the rule changes in 2023 are taking the game in the right direction.
Tim, last one for me, then I'll kick it to Ed to finish up with you. We appreciate you coming on our podcast here, 757 Saturday Sports Talk at the PLEX with Coach Ed Young. This is Matt Hatfield here talking with the Major League Baseball analyst Tim Kurkjian, the Hall of Famer. What's the likelihood we get 2 Game 7s in your eyes? One, none here. I mean, we'd have to have the Astros finish off the Rangers tomorrow and the Phils or the D-backs win back-to-back games, which is very possible in the case of Arizona. It'd be 4 straight here. What's your feeling on a number of Game 7s? And then to follow that up, if you had to pick one team, which I know it changes from day to day, who's the favorite to win this whole thing?
Well, I think both series are going to Game 7. And I think the series I'm covering has to go to Game 7 so we can see Max Scherzer pitching Game 7, having only made one start since September the 12th. Now, that would be great theater, and that's what I think might happen. I said from the beginning of the playoffs that the Astros were going back to the World Series. I said they would lose to the Braves, who aren't even in it. And I thought, well, now the Phillies are the team to beat to win the World Series. But after watching the Astros play at Globe Life Park Field and the way they played yesterday, I'm starting to think that we might have a real chance now, possibility at least, to have the first team repeat as world champions since the Yankees 98 through 2000. That's how much grit the Astros showed last night. Never, ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Tim, I'm thinking, how about the New York Met fans who thought they might be this far at this time, watching maybe a Verlander-Scherzer matchup?
Could you imagine that?
Yeah, look, that's why this season was so amazing. The Mets, the Yankees, the Cardinals, the Padres were all supposed to be really good, and none of them made the playoffs. The Marlins and the Reds and the Diamondbacks and the Orioles were never supposed to be this good, and they were. This is why baseball is the best game in the world, because of its unpredictable nature. And yes, to see Scherzer and Verlander pitching such big games in the postseason, I'm sure Met fans are just slapping their foreheads saying, what happened here?
Well, and speaking of that, Tim, I can't let you get out of here. What are my Yankees going to do? Are we destined to be towards the bottom of the next couple of years? Are we getting rid of anybody? What the Yankees got to do?
Well, the Yankees made some interesting moves at the end of the season, as you know, by bringing up all their young guys and saying, just go out there and play. It's a young man's game, fellas. Look at the Orioles. Look at the Diamondbacks. Look at a bunch of other teams, the Reds. Look at how they play. They take their best young athletic players and they take it to veteran players, older teams, and sometimes it works. That's what I think the Yankees have to do. But they also have to be really good in free agency and go get the right piece. The problem is it's not a great free agent season other than Shohei Ohtani. I don't see a hitter out there that is going to make a difference. And that's what the Yankees have to add, is another middle-of-the-order bat to go with Aaron Judge and to be there when Giancarlo Stanton and some of those other guys hit terrible slumps. That's the best chance for the Yankees, is to be really smart in free agency and then continue to bring along those young players.
He's the very best in the business. You watch him on ESPN. You hear him on ESPN radio. He's the Hall of Famer, Tim Kurkjian. You got a game number 5 in the NLCS tonight, a little bit after 8 o'clock Eastern on TBS with the Phillies at the Diamondbacks. Zach Wheeler versus Zach Gallen. Tomorrow, a game number 6 in the ALCS, where you have the Lone Star State battle, the Texas Rangers at the Houston Astros. Astros 1 win away from going back to the Fall Classic. Nathan Eovaldi versus Framber Valdez. And as Tim said, he thinks we're going to get at least 1, maybe 2 Game 7s. Always a pleasure, Tim. Enjoy the weekend and the World Series coming up, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Okay, thank you, fellas. See you.
Thanks, Tim.
That is the one and only Tim Kurkjian with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk at the Plex. Got a good, really good pitching matchup with Eovaldi versus Valdez tomorrow and Wheeler versus Gallen, the battle of Zacks tonight. And as he predicted, or I should say projected, we could have a Verlander Scherzer potential Game 7. How juicy is that if we get that coming up on, would that be Monday? That'd be Monday.
Oh, the Met fans would just go in the Hudson River.
They go in the Hudson River.
And we got to.
We don't encourage that, Mets fans. So don't jump in the Hudson.
I just said,
we got our guys, Jimmy and Jerry, out there. Don't jump in the Hudson River. We don't want them to do that.
But I really appreciate Tim coming on. I mean, here's a guy. He's in the playoffs. He's got a million requests for interviews against some big time shows. But guess whose show he was on a few minutes ago?
That's right. Came on with us.
These
today.
guys.
That's right.
And at this time, I think I have to. This would be a great time to introduce
the third member of our
third member.
Oh gosh, what is this?
Of
it's
our
a bobblehead. Is this a Tim Kurkjian bobblehead?
No.
Who is that?
Look at this guy.
Oh my
look
gosh.
At it up close.
Oh,
look
who
up
made
close.
This?
Look at me. Look at me. Look at him.
Zoom out. We don't want to.
All right.
You'll break the camera.
Look at this. Look at this.
Who made this?
The third member of the outfit.
Russell
Don't drop
Savage?
it, because if you drop it, you're paying for it. No, it was not Russell Savage.
Okay.
Russell Savage, if you're listening and working, you got to make one of this guy. This I can't divulge where I got this from because they don't do any sponsorship.
Hey, little friend, little guy, is Coach Young crazy? Absolutely.
Now,
Thank you very much.
we're gonna put him. We're gonna put him right here, right here.
Oh, look at this!
Look
at
the
this!
Third member of the squad.
That is cool.
There he is. That guy.
That is so
soon.
Cool.
Russell Savage, you're putting it on you. We're gonna have to get one.
You gotta
of
give a shout out to who made that.
I can't. Nope.
Why?
Because they don't have any raw sponsorship. I'm not doing it.
Sponsor the show.
Hey, this is big time. Okay, on the way to big time. You want to get involved with us? You gotta show us how important it is. We got great sponsors. CHKD, Dairy Queen, Freddy's, John's Tax Service for One Life, the Drip Bar, Trump Reality, Zoom, Reality, Pepsi, Gatorade. Where are you? Where are you at? Okay, this little guy is here for a reason, and now we got to get one of. Of course, they make one of this guy. It can hurt a lot of situations, but we got to do that.
Nice job of shouting out our sponsors. We really do appreciate you doing that here, even though you butchered one of them there. It's a great effort by you.
Who do we mess up?
Triumph Realty. But hey,
oh my God,
anyhow,
and I know who that is too. I'm in trouble.
No, you're not in trouble. But
he's trying to find me a house.
We're going to hear from. I'm sure he is. We're going to hear from a couple of those sponsors and come back with some more high school football talk. Maybe sprinkling some college football. We got NFL picks on the way and NBA over unders. It is your favorite podcast in the whole wide world. 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's up on the Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel, beachsportsplex.com, virginiapreps.com. And we're also streaming each and every Saturday on Twitter or X at 757 Sports Talk and on Facebook with the Virginia Beach Sportsplex Facebook channel as well. We're going to take a time out, though, and hear from – I see our man we got Kevin Blanding walking in here, father of Kayvon, who had the pick last night for King's Fork, and Quinn Blanding. It's coming up. Let's hear from some of the sponsors, beginning with John's Tax Services.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the PLEX, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
On 757 Standing Sports. So we got all kinds of celebrities. We just had Tim Kurkjian on the show. We had Kevin Blanding walk by, former great running back in the day at Bayside. We was playing. Avon had the game coaching pick. King Sport. His son Quinn was a record-setting tackler at Bayside and UVA, All-American, All-Conference there. Here on the show, it's time to go through some more high school football. And as always, if you want to join the show, it's going to be flashing on the screen here. Log on to bbsportsplex.com, and any inquiries you want to get on board. Have a segment brought to you by your company or your business, your place of interest. Reach out to us at hatfieldsports@gmail.com, and also send us a comment, an instant message. We'll make you a part of the show, and we'll have some pick segments coming up for you with the NFL picks for week number 7, I'm showing, Ed, and then we've got the NBA over-unders. What we do before that here? Let's go back to the high school football where we left off. We covered the Southeastern. We hit on the beach. That leaves the Eastern, the privates, the PD, and the Bay Rivers to go through, as well as we take a look at the schedule coming up for next week in just a little bit too. So where do we head to next, sir? Eastern District, you say, is where we're going to for scores from Friday night's games. Lake Taylor Titans took on the Churchland Truckers. It did not go too well for the Titans. 36-24 as Churchland rounded this ball game. This was a game that Lake Taylor was winning, in fact, and Churchland was able to rally back thanks to Dontavius Booker and Jesse Fox. 2 touchdowns in a span of 59 seconds in the fourth quarter to turn what was a 24-20 Lake Taylor lead into a 36-24. Woo! Wipe the brow, we're all right. We survived it. Win for the Truckers of CHS. Are we giving Churchland, which had a 79-yard punt return for a score by Kingston Hall, enough credit, Ed, as they've now won 4 straight since that, I guess they'll call it a Hopewell debacle, when they fell the Blue Devils on September 15th by a 42-0 count, as they get ready to go to Norfolk to take on the Maury Commodores.
Well, they unstumbled themselves in 4 in a row. I didn't think they would beat Lake Taylor. I'm still with Hank and
2 weeks in a row you win against Churchland. They burned you.
Yeah, and I've been going with Lake Taylor.
After they burned me when I picked Northern. So 3 weeks in a row, one of us has doubted the Truckers and Don Leonard, and we have been proven wrong. Shame.
Big fourth quarter for them. 16 points they got in that fourth quarter.
It is. It's 2 2-point conversions, right?
Right.
For 2.
And they turned that right around. They basically won it.
Hey, let him coach, Don Leonard. I mean, Hank Sawyer's a legend, so we can let him coach too. But get rid of some of these guys like Brandon Staley and Mike McCarthy and Doug Peterson going for it on 4th and 1 shotgun, running the ball. What are you doing? You're making Hatfield pull his hair out. That's why he's got a hat on to cover his bald scalp now.
Only one to be upset is you put a little, as you call it, shekels on the game.
Yeah, that can mess you up. No question about it.
I'm sure you're not putting shekels on the game.
No, we're
not you. But hey, who's Churchland got next week?
We put the wrong score, by the way, Flash. We're showing old scores, by the way. Let's go back to some fresh scores. I don't know why that banner was going up. Churchland next week, to answer your question. I just said if you were paying attention and listening, which you don't do when I'm talking.
There's too many things going on.
You're watching the bobblehead. You're just mesmerized
by
that guy in the black suit.
Make sure you see this, okay?
Do you have that suit, by the way? You would have been better if you had the red Santa Claus suit.
Yeah, I should have put the red one in there. But,
or the all-white Casino suit.
Yeah, I got my first bobblehead in my life. Even the ears are big. I mean, I did a fairly good job.
Is Ed Young crazy? No question about it.
Side-eye, baby, side-eye. Yeah, look, yeah. But anyways, we put him up there again. And, hey, anybody wants to get one from Matt Hatfield, we need to do that. Our buddy Russ Savage, come on, Russ. You can get it.
Take care of us.
Take care of us. And now I do have to reveal I paid for that.
Oh, you paid for that? It wasn't given to you for free? Wow.
Wasn't free. So
well, if it looks like Ed Young, if it talks like Ed Young,
it must be.
It must be Ed Young. It's just kind of like, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck. It must be a duck or Matt Hatfield, one of the two.
But here's how I feel now watching that. This is exactly how I feel.
Like my skin is like you're making me uncomfortable. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's a big game coming up, Penn State, Ohio State, which we'll give you a thought on before we sign off. Who's going to win that
This
game?
adult male is behind a door with something in his mouth making quack noises.
Well, they weren't quacking last week. Did you just watch that Oregon-Washington game? That was a tough loss.
I just don't feel comfortable right now. You're making my skin uncomfortable.
All right. You know who's uncomfortable? The teams that have to play the Maury Commodores, who took it out on the Norview Pilots on Friday night. Latest score from break Freedom's record for points in a season, they would have to get 952, 63.5 games, what Freedom averaged a season ago. Right now they got 476, 59.5 per game they're averaging. Can Maury break Freedom's record? Will they break Freedom's record?
So we're talking about the rest of the regular season
and playoffs
and all the way to the
7
state
games
championship.
left. To get there, to get there, you have to score. And again, through 8 games last year, Freedom had 529 points, which is 66.1 per contest. Maury's at 476, 59.5 per contest. So they have to get 476 over the next 7 ball games, 68 a game. Can they break the state record? Will they break the state record?
My first reaction is no, because that means they're going to have to score at least 68 in that semifinal and state championship, and they're not going to be playing chopped liver team. But what I also have to remember is it's put 85 last night. Who knows in the next 3 or 4 games that they don't average 80 points, which will cut down that average that they need to do later. But I'm going to come out. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. No.
You heard it there, Doree McCain, staff and players. The challenge is put out to you. He's saying it's not going to happen.
And there's
Ed
another
Young,
guy.
what does this basketball guy know?
Hey, there's another guy that just heard me. Guess where he's going to tell me where to go?
Oh, you're talking about
because I just said I don't think Maury will do it.
You're talking about the one and only.
So now what's going to happen is
he's
this guy.
Tell you, like when they play Churchill next week, he's going to tell you.
Hey, Prim! Down!
Only problem is, Daryl, I don't live in Portland.
Yeah, you go to
but he'll make.
How about this? We'll put this out there before we finish the Eastern District scores here with Booker T beating Manor, and with what was the 4th game on the district schedule here? You add we got today Norcom Granby, 2:00 from Norcom's homecoming at Joe Langston Stadium in Portsmouth. We'll get to that in a second. Going back to Portsmouth, if Maury breaks the state scoring record, will you ride in the victory car or drive the victory car with Daryl on the parade and wear a Maury State Championship T-shirt? Will you do that? Even if they have to beat your Nansman River football team, they the basketball coach in the semifinals or finals in the playoffs.
So Daryl will be on top of my car.
Will you drive Daryl, or Daryl drive you, or you both just sit side by side waving? And you have to buy him a soda. Give him $5 in a soda too, by the way.
I'll give him
part of the deal.
I'll give him the $5 a soda, but if I put him on top of the car and he falls off, that's an insurance liability question. I can't afford that.
I think you're gonna have to have a parade, and you and Daryl have to be.
Can you imagine Daryl driving a vehicle in the parade?
I can imagine it. I don't know if I'd want to see that.
There'd be some people hit.
There would be.
Especially
but will you do that? I like putting you out there and have to do things.
Yeah, you always put these. Because of him, I've had to spend.
I'll go in a parade too. I'll wear a championship shirt and do it. Why not? I'll sit with you and Daryl. Why not? Put me in the pictures. I don't mind.
I've had to buy expensive suits because of him. I've had to wear clown outfits because of him.
Yeah, that's true. Without the nose and the hair.
This. I can't operate this way.
Just answer the question. Will you or will you not do it?
I have. Let me talk with my insurance people. I got it. It's a liability against insurance. 2023.
We'll make sure nobody's in harm's way. Will you get them a soda and $5 and wear a championship shirt and be part of the parade and have to own up because
if they break the scoring record,
they got to break the scoring record and
they get me a Maury shirt. I'll wear it on one of the shows. Sure, I wore that clown outfit before.
So in the parade.
I'll wear it in the parade.
Okay, that's all I care about. Let's go back to the Eastern District. Booker T blanked Manor 36-0. Mustangs had a tough time offensively in this game. They were held to just 71 yards of offense, 35 passing, 36 rushing. Not a whole lot worked for them or went well in terms of the offensive productivity. So that covers the Eastern District. Let's squeeze in here real quickly because I know you want to go to another district, and I want to make sure we have enough time to do so. As far as the PD and the Bay River scale, let's get the privates and the small schools in here real quickly. King William over Mechanicsville 42-14. Essex over Colonial Beach 52-8. Rappahannock beat Lancaster 20-14. New 50. Arcadia 16. Greensville 42. Windsor 7. Southampton 57-14 over Surrey. That's got to make our man Keith happy. We're waiting to hear from Keith, by the way. He's a Southampton guy. King and Queen 80. Charles City 22. And then in your private school action, you had Nancy Suffolk Academy, Mike Deal Saints all over Norfolk Christian 44-0. Although Mike Deal was razzing me on Instagram last night because of me calling out those obnoxious Phillies fans, which I'll continue to do because they're obnoxious. And Olive White 29. Middlesex nothing. St. Anne's Belfield 45. Catholic nothing. Any reaction to those? And you got Atlantic Shores Fredericksburg Christian today at 3. Norfolk Academy Blue Ridge. That's a biggie at 2 o'clock. Who wins that game? Academy Blue Ridge. I'm going Blue Ridge. You're going to go Academy.
No, I think that was my preference with Blue Ridge. But I got to try to catch it, so I guess I'm not a thing.
Well, we're not going to count that. That'd be off.
But I think most of the scores, if I'm not mistaken, it's all of them. So they went 40-4.
Yeah, you picked them all. Look at you.
I didn't miss any.
Brag right on you. Brag.
I got to.
Where are we going? PD or BRD?
Let's go BRD.
Bay Rivers District. You had one game. We talked about it on Thursday night with York getting it done against Bruton. Lafayette shuts out Jamestown 61-0. Pocosin 54. New Kent 3. Baker Green ran wild. I think he just committed to Eastern Kentucky to run track. Kudos to Baker Green over there at Pocosin.
Good job.
And then you also had, as I look at a couple more of these, you had Ward Hill 63, Smithfield 26. My goodness, Ward Hill piling up the points. And Grafton a winner over Tab 16-13. You had Tab, I had Grafton as Ward Hill got 267 yards passing from Liam Francis. In the Grafton Tab game, I think it was more Grafton's defense getting the job done. Late field goal to win it for them, 16-13. We talked about Baker Green with the punt return, 55 yards, kick return, 95 yards. I guess the result that surprised you was picking Tab. You did not get it done for you against the Grafton Clippers.
That one, I thought War Hill and Smithfield might be a little closer. Tracy Smithfield trying to get him over the hump. You gave the Lafayette stuff.
They did. They cruised past Jamestown 61-0. And there's 2 weeks in a row for Andy Lynn's Rams, who got the job done after the loss to Ward Hill. They blitzed Tab 52 donut and Jamestown 61 up. That's 113-0 in the last 8 quarters of football. So they put out their frustration on the Tigers and Eagles. They got York coming up. It could be Doug Pereira coming up next to have some frustration there as they get ready to take that team on in a tricky one coming up. Class 3 real quick. Hopewell's got some injuries. Is Lafayette the favorite now? And Norcom, it was announced this week officially, something we had heard last year. They had a little bit of a scuffle with Phoebus in a playoff loss over at Darling Stadium. They are going to be ineligible for the playoffs despite being as high as the number 3 seed here in the latest power ratings. So your thoughts on that? Norcom, a sportsmanship violation. The VHSL did confirm and is now Lafayette the favorite in 3A. With Hopewell injuries, no Norcom in the field, and Lake Taylor obviously going through some growing pains and some youth and injuries themselves.
It's easy to say yes if Hopewell's got injuries to key guys.
Keyshawn Henderson, one, younger brother of Travion Henderson, the Ohio State back.
Right, you got to rest him up. Could that hurt them in their last couple games before playoffs. Lafayette seems to be in gear and we're talking about points. They're putting points on the board. Almost 60 a game in the last couple games. So they're putting the points on the board. I feel bad for Norcom. The only problem I have with this, if the situation happened and there has to be a consequence out of it, it's a shame they had to wait this long and then throw in there. By the way, you're working this year. You're not going to playoffs. That should have been done at the beginning of the year, maybe told right at the beginning of the year, you can't go to the playoffs, whatever, or some other kind of penalty. I'm not sure what. Something has to be done when you're breaking the rules and sports violations they had. So I understand all that part, but they're out of it. But let's stay on the positive side. Things look good for Lafayette, but Lake Taylor, come on, Hank. Come on, Titans. I'm just going to stick with you. I'm going to say it. Watch out for Lake Taylor in the playoffs.
Got to get the defense a little bit straightened out and special teams too. But they do have some talents and weapons. Jameer Sporty Freeman, Darren McKenzie running the ball, and Elijah Moss Washington, the big Syracuse commit at wide receiver. Peninsula District to finish things up. We told you about Kecoughtan beating Woodside on Thursday night. There's 2 games today. Double dip over at John B. Todd Stadium in Newport News. Denby hosting Bethel. Patriots trying to get their first win under Coach Tommy Riemann. The Bruins trying to respond from a 4-4 back-to-back losses. By the way, I don't know who made the decision, but I have a little bit of a problem with it. Bethel had to play on Saturday last week in the rain against Heritage. They got turned around and played Phoebus on Tuesday. And then now they played on a Saturday. It's 3 games in 7 days. We're all about safety and health and well-being. 3 football games in 7 days for kids is not, I think, fair, healthy, and productive. And I don't want to say shame on somebody who made that decision, but they had to have come up with a better solution than that. And to turn around and play Saturday, Tuesday, it just felt wrong when they had to play Heritage in the rain in a game that I think that was questionable to be played last week, as well as Bayside Kellam and that type of. We were coming out of the PLEX here last week with that rainstorm, and then turn around and play on Tuesday night against Phoebus. That's hard for me to digest.
Yeah, and you're right. And they're playing Phoebus in the middle of those 2 games. Of all people that have to play. Again, I'm just outsider looking in. Why couldn't you play that Tuesday game another Tuesday? So you're not playing the 3 Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday within that week. Just asking.
I don't know how they would have fixed it, but I think there could have been a better solution than that. I think Bethel will win today, and then you got Phoebus and Menchville 4 o'clock today. Monarchs are playing a lot better. We heard from Ronnie Taylor last week, and we also heard from Shane Ryman and Amir Harrison on the Hash with Hatfield. That podcast you can go back and watch from last Thursday, along with John Keppel as the guest with us here on the show from the Plex. But film's going to be too much in that one. You had Heritage all over Gloucester 47-19 as the Hurricanes have now won a couple in a row here, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive in Class 3 Region A behind 3 touchdown runs from Tyree Wilson and a couple of touchdown passes from Derek Hurley Jr. to Zach Ray and Sean McCallum. And the Warwick Raiders, Ed, how about their defense? They got it done in another shutout over the Hampton Crabbers. They've now won 3 straight over Hampton after having struggles for years and years and years in that series. 36-0. Warwick has not given up a point on defense in 9 games. This, to me, is as amazing as anything we've seen in high school football this year. I think it deserves more attention than it is. And they've got Phoebus coming up 12 noon next Saturday, which means we'll be on the air early so I can get over there to Todd Stadium in time. How about that ball game? Phoebus, Warwick, 12 noon. Warwick on the year, giving up 0.8 points per game. Phoebus on the year, 8 points allowed, a safety they intentionally took against Oscar Smith, and 6 to Hampton, 1 touchdown, 1.1 per game. You have the 2 best defenses, not just in the PD, but probably the entire area, and dare we say the whole state. And this game, you're going to laugh at me because you said to me last night talking about this, oh, I can't see that any way that they shut out Phoebus. I could see this game being donut, 0-0 going into the 4th quarter. And you say, what a boring game. It could be that hard-hitting and great defensively as these teams fly around with athletes and playmakers all over the field. You got D1 guys out there. Messiah DeLome's a highly coveted junior for Warwick with a boatload of offers. You already have commitments in Tayshawn Stevens from the Old Dominion off the edge, Anthony Reddick for Maryland off the edge. Warwick, what a job they have done after giving up a touchdown on the opening kickoff to Grassville this year. They have since, in their 9 games after that point, outscored the opposition 4-19-0. That's as great as it gets. I mean, we know about how wonderful Maury is and Green Run and Kings Fork and Phoebus. That's as good as it gets.
I thought they would beat Hampton, which they did. I do think I suggested that Hampton would score at least a touchdown.
I did too.
But they did.
They didn't.
So now they go to Phoebus, which I said, I don't think they'll get the win, and Phoebus is definitely going to score. So I'm going to probably stay with that. I'm watching my words carefully because I don't want Warwick to be on my, I'll be on Warwick's hate list or whatever. But, and again, they're not going to worry about what we say anyway. Just go out there and take care of business. But it is an astronomical feat that nobody gets the end zone. Now, I had somebody tell me, they heard us talking about this last week, and they told me, hey, Coach, I heard you talk about Warwick. I kind of look at it a different way. And it's a person who listens to our show, that maybe the rest of the district isn't strong until they play Phoebus. Well, and my comment back was, okay, you can use that as your defense of why nobody scores on them. But you've gone every single game. I'm sure there's many games they put second, third stringers and young kids in there. And that's an opportunity for the other team to score, especially maybe they kept their starters in. They're probably going to score. So even if that has happened, and I don't think Warwick has kept starters in from start to finish every game, they still haven't scored. That's an amazing feat, period. That's like perfection, that go into a season and nobody scored on us. Remember, the touchdown they gave up was a special teams touchdown. You don't credit that against, it's a credit against the team, Warwick, but it's not really against their defense. Right. Their defense was not out on the field for that. If they shut out Phoebus, wow. Because who's the last team to shut out Phoebus? If our record man can find that situation.
I knew he was going to ask
if he doesn't give me COVID.
I'm not giving you COVID. Don't. That's not something to joke around with.
Now I have to come in next time with a suit and a mask on.
No. Make those jokes. That's not funny. I'm not coughing on you.
And my little guy back here, little Eddie, he's getting it coughed on. And that can melt. That's maybe.
I hate yourself.
That's special
I
play.
need some water. You choked me. I got choked up.
Well, I would like to choke, but I can't say that on the
Hey. Just right before you in the pad,
I would get one of my wrestling buddies, Abdullah the Butcher, who once choked me.
Did he really?
Yeah, I got a picture of him.
Yeah,
he put me in a chokehold.
Put that next to your bobblehead next week.
I'm going to put that picture up here. Yeah, I'm going to put some stuff up. Remember, I did tell people, if you want us to put stuff behind us,
memorabilia
from your memorabilia,
starting lineups.
And whatever you want to just give it to us.
One bobblehead on the shelf.
You can give it to Matt. You'll see him
everywhere. By the way,
there.
you leave that here to make it stolen.
Oh, that ain't being left there. I'm taking that with me. Okay. I've been waiting since kindergarten to have it.
Listen, there's going to be somebody that walks by here and they'll see the head and they'll rip the head off. Like the little penny doll I did when Penny Hardaway refused to come on with us on the radio.
Yes, you did. I remember that.
I ripped the little penny head doll off. Memphis hasn't been the same since, nor has Penny. You asked the question. Here's the answer. The last time Phoebus was shut out, Oscar Smith in the regular season finale, 42-0. Since then, Phoebus has won.
What year?
2021.
Oh, so it was recent. Okay, that's right. Wow.
So they then lost their last game in the regular season, won a state championship, went undefeated last year, won a state championship, and they've been undefeated this year, on their way to potentially a third consecutive state championship. So if you shut out Phoebus, they get mad, and they've won 27 consecutive games. So you have Phoebus on a 27-game winning streak on Saturday next week at 12 noon at Todd Stadium. Go out to this game, folks. You're not going to want to miss it.
Well, you better get there real early to get in.
Yeah. And I think they're limit capacity like 5,000 from what I'm hearing. And they're taking on a Warwick defense giving up less than a point per game. I mean, how juicy. And Phoebus's defense is giving up less than 2 points per game.
That's
watch it be 35-34. We're all sitting here going, what just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah. Who do you give the edge to in that game, in all seriousness? We joked around, clowned around, all that stuff. Who do you give the edge to?
Phoebus has been through these kind of battles. I think there's a little bit more pressure on Warwick, not just to win the game, but to shut Phoebus out. I would want my team concentrating on a win, not worrying about shutouts.
I don't think so.
Would
you look at the offenses with Phoebus's offense putting up 37.4 per game? Now, they did play Oscar Smith out of district, Warwick played Grassfield, and Warwick's averaging 46.6. Would you argue that Eduardo Rios and the Raiders' passing attack could give Phoebus's defensive backfield some trouble?
Only because not many people can throw it on Phoebus. So it remains to be seen who a good throwing team, what will they do against the Phoebus defense? Because if you try to pound it at Phoebus, that's not going to work. Remember, if Warwick wasn't having this unscored streak of defensively, who would we be talking about right now? Phoebus. So we're not. We're talking about Warwick.
Well, I would caution you, as good as Phoebus is, and we had Jeremy Blunt on the show on the Hash with Hatfield podcast. And by the way, if Coach Blunt or Corey Harrison would like to come on the show, Just know coaches are undefeated this year. We talked about Lance, Joffrion, Keppel, Nice. Who else will we have on the show? There's one more coach I'm forgetting. I think you're 5-0, 6-0. You come on with me, you win. So it could be a good omen. Just don't come on with him. Bad things happen. But this
with us, I've never interviewed a coach by myself.
Well,
so I can't.
How about we
credit.
test it? How about you do the specialized interview on Wednesday with which coach? And if they lose, they're going to come for you with a sword.
They're all going to run. They're all going to
come
run
for you with a sword and an axe.
If they see me coming to a one-on-one interview, they'll just take off.
Nah, yeah. That's what's going to happen.
You're giving me a complex.
We had Jeremy Blunt interview with him, and while their offense has shown some explosiveness at times with Davion Roberts and Keontae Gray and Paul Stephen Davis, the Woodside transfer for new starting quarterback now, Adonis Stowers. It was Trent Mitchell at the beginning of the year. And there's some versatility there on offense. They don't have Jordan Bass, who went to Pittsburgh. They don't have Nolan James, who you spoke with last year after he got hurt and they won the state championship. They're not as, I would say, lethal and dynamic offensively. So, and they didn't score in the second half, granted, running clock against Bethel. So, you might give the offensive edge to Warwick. And it's easy to say Phoebus has the better defense, but how can you say that when Warwick hasn't given up a point this year? Is that a wash? You'd probably call it even. I think it's a pretty even game on the surface, and I would be surprised if either team blew out the other, given how they performed this year today.
Something drastic would have to happen for a blowout to go. I think either way. It's too many good athletes, too much good coach scheming going on. I don't see. I think you're looking for a great game. And I know a lot of times when you bring great teams in at any level, sometimes the result is not what everybody thought for whatever reason, especially high school, because the mentality of these younger kids is much different. But I would assume it's going to be, they're both going to come in and do what they do. Each will have a wrinkle that maybe had nobody seen it, or this will be the appropriate time to use it. It's playoff atmosphere, it's playoff type team. Least mistakes probably wins. Who has the ball last? Great shot at probably winning. That score could be that close. But when I say score, on the Warwick side, everybody's thinking there is no score for them. We're coming in to shut them out and keep our streak going. And I'm sitting here saying, no, there's going to be a score. There's going to be points on the board for both teams. Just don't know how many.
We're going to take time out here from a couple more of our sponsors here at the Plex that make it possible, including Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers. Stay tuned.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
One thing about you two is you never shut up. If you listen to you guys, one thing about you two is you never shut up. If you listen to you guys, there's always pearls of wisdom coming out of them ruby lips somewhere. And it's the way it's supposed to be.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Back here on the show with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield as we talk to you about the world of sports here, local, college, high school, and pro. We got you covered here wall to wall. It is now time for our NBA over-unders. And Ed, we did this a year ago. And for those that aren't familiar with, we've been doing this for years on radio. Now we're turning it for the podcast. We do it for all the big pro sports, for the NBA, for the NFL, for Major League Baseball. Well, baseball's finished up. And you, me, and Dino Franza, our good friend from the radio station, we put up on the screen. Here's how the baseball over-unders turned out as we pull it and we go full screen. I don't know if people can see that on the sheet here. They got to switch in to see it. All right, I had over 81.5 for Texas, which is still alive. They got a win. The Dodgers under 96.5. That was looking good. They lost for me. Rats. The Phillies 89.5. They would have had 89 wins end of the year. They beat the Mets. Yeah, going Mets. Can't screw up anything. Cubbies got me a win over 76.5. Loss with the Tampa Bay Rays, who got off to that blazing hot start. 2 and 3 for me. You, sir, had the White Sox as an over. Lost. Over on the Brewers, who won, but lost to my Diamondbacks in the playoffs. Aha. Lost on the over to Blue Jays just by a smidge. They got knocked out early in the postseason as well by the Twins. One on under Red Sox and one on under Mets. So thanks to the Red Sox and Mets, you had a winning mark at 3 and 2. But Dino beat us both. His lock was the Orioles as an over. That won easily. Had the Cubbies like me. Had the under on the Mets like you. Took the Nats over 59.5, which won for him, and had the Dodgers as an under, which goes a bad beat like mine, and he lost. So he almost had a perfect record of 4-1. So Dino wins the prize. We'll send him some meatballs in the mail or something. I don't know. We'll give him something. There you have it. How about that? Good job for Dino. Now, do you want to see how we did with the NBA over-unders last year?
Let's put it up there before we do this year.
Right, this year, we're going to pick 3 each. This is how we do it. As we look at it for this year on the NBA over-under selections. 2 and 1 for me, as it says on the screen. 2 and 1 for me. Under on the Pacers. The Pacers won more than 23 games. They got 24 plus. Had the Nuggets as an over 49.5. They won the NBA title. Win for me. And how about the Heat as an under? 1 for me. Got to the finals. So I had the 2 teams in the finals. 2-1 for me. You, sir, you needed a 4-1 finish for the Spurs. Over 22.5. It lost. Didn't happen. Spurs couldn't finish up 4-1 for you. They got Victor Wembanyama. They might do it this year to go 4-1 the last 5 games. Had the Raptors as an over, which lost, and you had Brooklyn under 50.5 with 2 local guys from the 7-5-7 and Cam Thomas, who you once had to design defenses for, didn't do so successfully when he played at Oscar Smith. He torched you like he scored. He torched everybody else. And Dorian Finney-Smith, one of the best players in existence from Norcom High School, now on the team after the Dallas Mavericks, woefully, inexplicably, stupidly got rid of him for Kyrie Irving. Oh my gosh. So 1 and 2 for you in the NBA, 2 and 1 for me. So if my math is right, since I won the NBA, I get to go first, right? You know how this works?
No, you make the rules wrong. Everything we do.
Why should you go first? Why should you go first?
Who gets first pick in the drafts?
Team that loses.
Team loses. Just
So
saying.
you want to go first? Look at you. Well, how about this? If I let you go first for this, then I get to go first for the baseball next go round. That's all I ask. Because I lost the baseball to you.
Well,
That's only fair. What's fair is fair. Come on, someone come out there and let us know who should go first. Well, I'll let you go first. Go ahead. You feel so convinced. You'll still screw it up. I get the next 2. When you get 2, we finish it up.
No, I wonder if I should defer.
You want to kick it after you just said you should go first. Now you want to kick
Matter
it.
of principle.
Oh, Mike, you have none of those.
Yes,
You get called to the principal's office.
Dr. Green's my principal. I got principal.
Maybe we'll get him on the show and then ask him what it's like to work with you every day. Probably makes him.
He might start thinking of firing me right here on the show.
Yeah, I know.
I'm screwed. Really.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I'm going to go first.
All right. NBA over-unders. See what you got.
And because you gave a hint and spoiled my prediction, and I'm going with them again because I like this coach very much. I don't think he'd last this long. San Antonio.
Oh, you're going back to the Spurs. 29.5, right?
29.5. I think they get 30 wins. Because they got the string bean at the guard. All eyes on him. Not that he's going to be.
I think it's an under. I think it's going to be hard. They do have Keldon Johnson, by the way, too, who once upon a time played for Boo Williams in the travel circuit and also played at Parkview High School in Southfield, Virginia, the Emporia area before going to Oak Hill.
San Antonio gets 30 wins and loses 52 games. Well, now, come on now. I mean, I can't do that, you know?
No, you can't. All right, now I get to go to the next 2 picks, and I got 2 I love here. It's a lock on an under. Give me the Detroit Pistons under 28.5. You can't name 5 players from the Pistons. You can't name 3 players from the Pistons.
I mean, yeah.
That's 1. He's thinking for more.
Williams.
Just 'cause- what's his first name? You're going to go with Johnson next. I know how you go.
Johnson Williams.
No. They don't have Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Chauncey Billups, Bill Lambier, Rick Mahorn are not walking through that door. Marvin Williams. Isn't he retired?
You were Marvin or Marcus Williams.
You don't even know. My point exactly. They're an under. All right.
I'll take my other team. I got one here that's going to scoop the world.
Scoop the world? All right. Well, I'm going to also go with an over now. The New Orleans Pelicans 44.5 as an over. Whether they have a healthy Zion or not, they got Brandon Ingram. Got a good team. Give me the over with the Pels. Then you can go easily 45 and 37 to get me over the number. They'll be a playoff team. Maybe get a top 4 speed. I think they'll be in that 4-5 or maybe a 6 speed. I like them in the West. They'll be very competitive and strong yet again. So over with the Pels, under with the Pistons. You're up to your next 2 wins of the last.
Okay.
He's not sure where he's going, folks. That's why he's going to stall for time. This is how he rolls. This is how he rolls.
Keep going back to this one team, but I don't know if I'm going to touch him because he lost his best player ever.
Best player ever?
Well, I don't know about ever, but he's up there. And you know I talk about the lowly Portland Trailblazers.
Ooh, Damian Lillard. I don't know if he's the best player ever for the Blazers.
Who've
had Bill Walton, the redhead. They've had Clyde the Glide Drexler. They've had some great players.
They've had some great players. Walton was
won a championship towards the end of the 70s time with the late, great Dr. Jack Ramsey and one of our good buddies, Dave Twardzik, the former OU great part of that team in the backcourt. Did a nice documentary on the Walton. Did you watch that 30 for 30 on Walton?
I'm to the last part yet. I have not watched
You've watched bits and pieces. So you're going to go with the Blazers as an under here, 28.5?
No, I'm going to say over. They're going to win 29 games.
Wow. I see no way. This is an easy victory for me this year. You're going to go over. That means I can take a gamble on the last one. Go ahead.
And I got one more too, right? All right, I got a nail one here.
I'm surprised you went back to the well with the Spurs. That was very surprising you did that.
With my
Popovich. You could go bring Becky Hammond, the coach of the back-to-back 2-time Las Vegas Aces, world champions in WNBA. Did you watch him in the WNBA finals?
Bits and pieces.
No, he did. He's lying.
No, I did. I saw bits and pieces. Okay.
He's thinking. He's scrolling. He has no answer. Well, I've got one I'm going to take.
I don't know a whole lot about this team. I should, but I'm going to go Cleveland over 50.5.
Cleveland over 50.5.
I don't know why.
You're taking 3 overs. You're taking no unders. Wow.
First time ever. I mean, that bothers me.
That's very bothersome, but you don't get a 4th pick. If you watched last year, you took 2 overs and an under. I had 2 unders and an over. I have an over and I have an under because I can go with either direction for one of these. And I tell you what, I want to go over for Golden State or Phoenix. I'm looking at Phoenix 51.5 for Warriors 47.5. Pull up for me the Orlando Magic. That's their total. 37.5. I've got to take that as an under. It was 36.5, which means people are betting the over. Why? That team is not winning 38 games, losing 44. Again, they have a young group. Paulo Banchero, they play next to no defense. Give me this one as an easy, and I do mean easy, under.
I have urgent news.
Do you believe in magic? Wait, you can't change. No, this is not how this game goes. Change.
Okay, let me see the written
change
rules.
What?
Where's the written rules?
What do you want to change? You want to get rid of your Cleveland pick?
No, I want to get rid of my.
Look at this. Which one? Spurs, Blazers? You want to go off the Blazers, which was a bad pick.
Yeah, I'm going to drop the Blazers.
Unbelievable. He's changing midstream.
Oklahoma City. No way wins 44 games. He's going to win 40. Give me an under. They're 44.5.
Oh, that's another bad pick by you.
Give me Oklahoma City under.
You're going with an under. So you're changing it. All right, let me put it in ink here. To recap this riveting NBA over-under selection, which people are probably saying, what are we looking at here with these guys? Ed Young, who was 1-2 last year, is going Spurs over 29.5, under Thunder 44.5 after he changed it and got rid of the Blazers. I hope the Blazers win 29 games, and I hope the Thunder win 45 games just to do the double whammy to you. And he's going Cleveland over 50.5, Pistons under 28.5 for me, Pelicans over 44.5 for me, and Orlando 37.5 is an under. Those are the NBA over/under selections. As the National Basketball Association gives a double dip on TNT on Tuesday night, you have
coming up
Warriors Suns, the second game after the Nuggets get their rings with Michael Malone and Jokic and Jamal Murray against the LA Lakers with LeBron.
What are we looking at Denver's over and under?
Yeah, we're not picking it. You can look it up.
Let me look it up. Let me just say off the record, 53. Oh, that's over.
It's a lot of numbers. 54 in the West. They didn't do it last year. They won 53 last year.
Denver's going to win 55, 56 games this year.
Tough. Take it to the bank.
Dang, I should have changed that one too.
Too bad. Too late. So you didn't do enough homework on this. You didn't prep.
I prepped it. In fact, I heard it over and under show on National Network. And there was some interesting stuff there they were saying. So I didn't agree with some of it, but I did listen and based my 2 of my 3 picks on what I did hear.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
All right, we've got NFL Week 7 picks coming your way next. 3 selections for him, 3 for me.
What about him? Does he get to pick?
No, but Bruce Pearl does, and the Virginia Beach Mustangs, our good buddy with Virginia Trophy, gets to pick. A lot of teams idle this week with Carolina, Cincinnati, Dallas, Houston, Jets, and Tennessee. It's all coming your way with Hatfield and Young, 757 Saturday Sports Talk at the Plex. But it's that time of year when you got to warm up next to the fireplace, get you some soup with our friends at
Zoo.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not?
Ready, Moss.
Dan Marino? You all right?
Hey, Grandpa!
Grandpa?
I still got it.
22. 22.
Here we again, number 13.
Let's see.
Hey. I need that senior discount.
That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good. Right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
This is 757 Saturday Sports. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here for 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It is Hatfield and Young at PLEX, our final segment on this edition, the 21st day of October, the year 2023. It's time now for our NFL picks. And we will do this each and every week through the end of the regular season in early January. Then we do it for the playoffs as well. We'll have that edition coming up for the postseason picks. And it should be lots of fun. Would you like to see the standings where we stand right now when it comes to the NFL picks for the season, Coach?
Let's see the standings that you've manipulated to put you in the lead.
No, I haven't. Look at this. Coach Ed Young is 10-8. Matt Hatfield 9-9 with a 2-1 week last week. And then you have that guy, I think his name is Ed Young, sitting in at, Bruce Pearl 7-10-1. Bruce Pearl 7-10-1, excuse me. Bruce Pearl having a little bit of a rough time. He's 1-2 last week. Just to recap what transpired last week, Baltimore minus 4.5 for Bruce. In the London game, they won over Tennessee 24-16. Indy plus 4.5. Jacksonville won with ease 37-20 over the Colts, and he took an L with the Jets, beating the Eagles at the end. Did you see that game, by the way? Philly minus 6.5 did not cover or win for him, so that was a tough nut there for Bruce. Ed, 2-1 again for you, as you had Jacksonville 37-20, a winner over the Colts. You went Oppo Bruce minus the 4.5. You had over 35.5 with San Francisco, Cleveland. Somehow won by half a point, 19-17. The Browns got it done. Boy, did you luck out with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the Bethel grad, and the Browns. And then you also had a loser with the Bills minus 15. The Bills won 14-9 against Tyrod Taylor, or was it Tyrod? And the Giants, he out of Hampton High School. How crazy was into that game, by the way, with the Giants and the Bills?
Yeah, I'm watching that game thinking, what is going on? The Giants had like 13 starters out.
They had a lot of guys.
Yeah, out. And Buffalo, what are you doing, Buffalo? Thank God I didn't put no shekels on that game, but I had to pick Buffalo.
A lot of nervous people at the end of that if you had an outright money line play in that ball game. But how about you, Ed? So since your slow start to the season, you opened up 1-2 in week 1. You went 1-2 in week 2. Week 3, you go 2-1. Week 4, you go 2-1. Week 5, you go 2-1. Week 6, you go 2-1. What is that? Is that 5 straight 2-1 weeks for you? 4 or 5 straight weeks? I'm telling you what, you're as hot as Cade Morrison right now. You know who Cade Morrison is?
Yeah, the name is familiar.
You're not familiar with Cade Morrison, or you are familiar with Cade Morrison? But you're as hot as Cade Morrison.
Give me a reminder.
Okay,
somewhere.
You're as hot as Cade Morrison.
Out to Brady Bishop, 15 seconds remaining. Morrison, one more time. What's he do? He sinks it. 3 3-pointers in a row for number 34, Cade Morrison. He's hotter than a stolen car, Butch.
Yeah, you're hotter than a stolen car, like Cade Morrison there, Ed.
I don't know if I want to make that comparison, but hats off to that exciting
Holston Cavaliers.
From out west, correct?
Holston Cavaliers out there in Damascus.
Some great stuff out that west, boy. Love those people out that way.
And me last week, I was 2-1 as well. I had the under 42.5 with Saints in Texas. That was a winner with Houston prevailing 20-13. Also had the Detroit Lions a winner -3 against the Buccaneers, 20-6 victory for them. Atlanta -2.5 did not prevail for me. I was a loser as Washington behind Sam Howell beat Desmond Ridder and the Falcons 24-16. All right, are you ready for some NFL picks for week number 7 in the league where they play?
Well, I would be, except somebody didn't send me the list.
You like a child read a list of games that we don't have it here?
No, I could just pick them, out of the clear blue sky right here. I pick this one over here.
You don't have
this one
there you
here.
go. I just sent it to you.
Check your messenger. I'll ask this guy back
check
here.
Your messenger. Check your messenger. You're unbelievable. You get to go first, or I get to go first. You both go 2-1. Now, you would be nice to punt to me if I let you go first in the NBA picks, which you ended up changing one of your picks midstream, which made absolutely
no.
Zero
We're going
sense.
by your rules. I overall have the better record. I go first.
All right, well, you go first, and you didn't know where you're going because you didn't have it up on your little
Well,
device there.
I'm going to
your 1932 phone over there.
I was gonna. You buy me a new phone, and I'll use.
I'm not doing that.
See, this is what I got to work with.
Hey, let your guy back here on the shelf get you a new phone. You haven't bought him. You haven't.
He doesn't even have. I don't think the pocket's open in those things. I did have a game under display that I didn't want. I'm going to try it. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go. We just talked about him.
Oh boy!
We just talked about him, and I said, "What are y'all doing out there?" And I'm going with give me Buffalo.
Buffalo? Are you really? What are you showing as far as the spread against the New England Patriots in Foxborough against Bill Belichick, the evil hoodie, who might be mumbling his way? By the way, who's worse mumbling? Is it Shaq or Bill Belichick? I mean, all he says is,
Shaq does it on purpose.
Enunciate. Speak,
Shaq
Bill.
does it on purpose.
Speak.
Bill is calm and cool.
Yeah, he mumbles his way
and
through.
what could be his last year in New England? He will not get fired.
I don't understand a word he's saying. All he does is sits up there and mumbles away. They're calling him mumbles. What's mumbles? Oh, gosh. Speak, Bill. Not that difficult.
Well, regardless, Bill, I'm sorry. I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm going Buffalo minus 8.5. A lot of points for the win. I'm going to do it.
All right, you're going to go minus the 8.5 for the team that nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. I get the next two, correct?
I'm going to do two.
I thought it worked. All right, I'm going to go to Sunday Night Football on NBC, and that matchup features the Philadelphia Eagles at 5-1, coming off that very discouraging loss to the Miami Dolphins. To the New York Jets. They take on the Miami Dolphins, who are 5-1. Mike Tirico, Chris Collins with him. Let's just on the call for this with Ryan Rackey and Mike Golick on Westwood One. Westwood One. How about the Dolphins' offense this year? They've scored 36, 24, 70, 20, 31, and 42. They spotted the Panthers a 14-point lead and just came right back behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But the Eagles are mad. They have not been playing really crisp football. Even when they beat the Commanders in overtime, beat the Vikings by 6, Patriots by 5, they've been a little bit uneven and sloppy. Jalen Hurts coming off a bad game. The Battle of Alabama quarterbacks, Hurts versus Tua. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles minus the 2.5. You get the Eagles at home by less than a field goal. You've got to take them in this primetime spot. I think the Dolphins, as explosive as they are offensively, their schedule's been a little bit on the weak side. So give me the Eagles for pick number 1. Pick number 2, I'm looking really hard at an over-under. And by the way, if you've been following my over-unders lately, I've picked in the last 3 weeks of my 9 picks, I've had 5 over-unders. In fact, you go back week before that, I think 7 of my last 12 picks have been over-unders going back to week number 3. A little bit of a mixed bag with the over-unders. But I like one in the NFC South, although it is dropping like crazy. I'm going to stay away from it because it opened up at 40, and it's now 37.5. I can't touch it now. That's too bad a value. I cannot touch that now. So we will pivot from that. I thought it was still at 40. Looking at my notes here as I prepared diligently for this each and every week. You know, I'm going to take the gamble with the team that paid off for you early in the season. You picked them like 2-3 straight weeks. AFC North team that made me a little nervous with their decisions sometimes coaching-wise. They have a great field goal kicker. He's the best in the business. We call him Mother Tucker, Justin Tucker of the Ravens. That was clean, by the way. If that wasn't bad. That was clean. Ravens minus 3 against the Lions, who I picked last week. I will take it at home. I think they play a good game and win by a field goal or more against the Lions, who are due for a bad one. The Lions have been playing so well. They haven't had a bad game in a while since week 2 at Seattle. So give me Baltimore at home. They'll rise up to the occasion. Lamar Jackson get the passing game going against the Detroit defense. They might be a little bit 50 in the spot. I'll take the Ravens minus 3, Philly minus 2.5. You're up for the next 2 selections before we show the screen and Bruce Pearl's pick. Unless you want to show Bruce's now, so you can cheat off his, which you like to do from time to time.
No, Bruce will have to go last. I'm going to go into your world and take an over-under, and I'm going to go over the 47.5 between the Chargers and the Chiefs.
A lot of points, though, Coach.
47. I think it gets to 50. I think it gets to 50.
It's going to get a bad beat. I think it's going to finish up something like 24-23, and you lose by half a point, which is wonderful. You won by half a point. You're due for one. You stole one last week. You'd be tied with me if not. I would be picking first.
Why is it a steal? Why can't it be
Buffalo,
game planned? It was worked out. The kids did a nice job. He wants to take all the glory from the kids, the work being done. The young men of the NFL get it done.
I don't believe it for 1 second. Not with you. No. I don't buy it.
I got one more, don't I?
You have one more. That's how this works. You're correct.
I'm starting to think over the numbers.
Well, you can go that direction if you like.
Somebody wants that. Jackpot. Let's go with
I've got an over-under. I think I'm going to take it. You don't take it.
No, I'm going to go back to an outright win.
Oh, okay.
Give me
that Atlanta Tampa one day.
Yeah, just going to say.
That was the one I was looking at. Go ahead. Go ahead and take that.
Give me Tampa. I'll take the minus 2.5.
Oh, you got them winning outright.
I'm going to have one outright over Atlanta with Desmond. You know the game I looked at? Maybe you messed with it. My Raiders against the Bears. 2 quarterbacks. Hoyer for Raiders. And the dude from Shepherd University.
The dude from Shepherd University.
Look his name up.
You don't even know his name.
From Shepherd University.
Gosh.
It's a music school, right? And he's the starting quarterback for the Bears. That could be one funny game to watch. Either it'll be 55-50.
Tyson Badgers.
Tyson 3-0. I hope the young man has a great game. So great to win. Because he's coming from Shepherd University. First player.
If that game could be 3-0, why don't you take under 37.5?
I looked at it hard. I thought it'd be a disaster game where the total points would be
set me up.
15. I'm telling you, take that game, man.
He's trying to set
take
me
that
up.
Game. That's an under written all over it.
All over it. Set me up. This is a setup, isn't it?
It's as good as the Colts against the Vikings 2 years ago.
Last December, and that was not good. I do remember it. You like to bring up bad things, bad memories. Well, maybe like that 44-yard go-ahead touchdown pass to Kurkjian with 3:08 to play that propelled Jacksonville, courtesy of Trevor Lawrence's arm. He was questionable to play. I'm going to look at a game in the NFC West because that's the best division where the Arizona Cardinals are not having that great a year, but they did beat the Dallas Cowboys, which matters in my world, in a lot of people's worlds, and people that lost a lot of money's worlds too. Some won some money on it. Cardinals at Seattle. Seahawks coming off a tough loss where their red zone offense was just inept against the Cincinnati Bengals, who played some great inspired defense in the red area. Arizona at Seattle. The total is 44.5. A little bit of a high number, but I think, as you noticed, Arizona's second halves have not been great. I think the Seahawks will pile it on in the second half, and I'll go over the 44.5 for my third and final selection. For the recap, and we put up on the screen Bruce Pearl's legendary picks. He's open for a 3-0 week. He needs one. He was, Pearl's a Blues fan. He was 3-0 2 weeks ago. I was 3-0 2 weeks ago in week 5, and Ed was 2-1 when Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs gave him a bad beat. He's going back to that well again, KC. Get it under for me. Here's Bruce's picks. He's got Tampa Bay minus the 2.5.
He picked my game.
Yeah, no, he picked you before you stole his.
But I didn't know he did it.
Yeah, you did. You looked at my phone during the break. I have facial recognition. It showed your face. That's why I phone's cracking all over the place. He said Commanders and Bears receiving points, Bruce. So the Commanders are not receiving points. They're giving points to the Giants. Minus 2.5 in New York again. I'm guessing Tyrod. It could be Daniel Jones if he's back. And the Bears plus the 2.5 against your Raiders. Those are the picks.
And he's going with the dude from Shepherd.
He's going with Tyson Badger. So if he walked up there to the sports book to the main
Nobody
event, he wouldn't know.
Nobody knows. No, great guy.
He wouldn't know who he is.
NFL starting quarterback.
Eagles minus 2.5, Ravens minus 3, and over 44.5. Seahawks Cardinals for me. Ed's got Bills minus 8.5 against the Pats. Over 47.5. Chiefs Chargers and Bucks minus 2.5. Which was fun. Let's do it again next week. In fact,
The Lord willing, we'll be back. This guy, our third member, will be back, and maybe you'll get a partner up there down the road if somebody can do something with this.
That's going to do it for 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We'll talk to you next time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Virginia Sportsplex. Watch it online as well on VirginiaPreps.com.
Sponsors.
Facebook, Twitter, X.
Sponsors.
Join our growing team. We'll do the show from your establishment, your home, your backyard. Your
Come to you. We'll come to you.
Your swimming pool. Talk to you next week here. 757 Saturday Sports Talk.